Oh, what's up, Facebook? Anything interesting happened today? No? Cool. So, since there's nothing else going on your timeline, why don't you spend some time with Charisma? So, I was sitting here looking at some pieces, and I got a message from a friend that was looking over some of my material. And, I pay attention to what resonates with folks because I wrote what resonated with me. And so I pay attention to what resonates with other people. And the interesting thing about this one, I just posted it, so you could almost read it. Um, oh, I'm looking at myself on the computer while I'm talking. That's because I'm live. Don't you just love technology? Um, but the interesting thing about this piece, though, Soul Ties, is uh, reading it. It's funny that they read that one because now reading it, the thing about writing, especially I think maybe more so with poetry, because if you just write like stories and stuff like that, I don't know, maybe you can write something that's profound and comes back to you. But if everything you always write is based on an experience you're having, you don't know how it's going to affect you and your perspective and where you are, say 5 or 6 years from now. Who knows the way that piece will hit you. And so, I was sitting here reading this piece and I was like, man, if I just listened to myself, I could have saved myself a lot of trouble and whatever. But apparently, this piece I wrote so long ago that I picked this piece up again, probably the exact same day, 5 years later after I had written it. And even then, that was still probably uh, 10 years ago, roughly. To say that when you write, you just never know how you'll benefit yourself. So just, you know, be patient with yourself. But if you keep it real and it's about you, keep it because you never know um, how it can affect you. So this will kind of make more sense when I read it. This is also a good practice for me. If you are a company out there, I'm sitting down. This is not going to be my best. I'm not impressing here. I'm creating content, putting some of my material out there. Most importantly, I'm also trying to, increase enlightenment and awareness in people's minds. Maybe crack open some third eyes. I don't know. Um, but yeah, so if you have a company, or you need a face, a spokesperson, just anything like that, I'm willing to do some pro bono work right now. Just because this is what I enjoy doing. If you have like short commercials or something like that, maybe you're in the Dallas area, you need some work, and I will travel too because when I do my best, I read and sound well. I believe I know I do. I'm confident in my ability to sell, and I just want to put myself out there because that's what this is all about. Partially, all about. This piece is called Soul Ties. I call it Soul Ties because it was mm, about 2004 or five, probably when all this first started, that I began to really study or be interested in spirituality. I just got out of being with Jehovah's Witnesses, and that was a 28-year in and out uh, redundancy that I wish to leave in the past. It's definitely in the past. I've been gone. I'm never going back. Um, but I looked at everything differently because they framed everything for me. And so being outside of it or out in the world, you have to reach perspectives on your own and understandings or whatnot. So soul tie to me meant that when you had sex with someone or you had a connection with them, you may very well have something between you that is not as simple as just the attraction. I think that's before I really understood what connection was. I was calling it a soul tie. Later, I would call that a connection. And I found this to be very true and probably applies to a lot of people. But I want to read it, and this actually has commentary at the end. So The commentary I feel like was important because you see the maturation of my thought process. Okay. So without further adoozies and no music in the background, hope you enjoy my wall. Yes, I'm sitting on my bed. These are some of my thoughts. I am a poet. I have everything I need. I am enough. So, you stay positive, out there the best way you can. Sometimes you just got to remind yourself. But once you get that momentum going, you don't have to remind nobody else. Soul ties. Cutting a spiritual soul tie. How do I? How do I cut the umbilical glue between what I want and what has come true? Slits in the skit, slowly bleeding daily and romantically torturing my soul. No peace. It's imprisonment with no release. It's almost impossible to cut an invisible soul tie with an everlasting wife. I'm going to be followed by the slow and steady drip, drip, drip of memories as they slip, slip, slip away. But the tie will stay. It will cross my mind at least once a day, no matter what nosy folks say. What do they know anyway? One day at a time, 1 million dried up tears is replaced by a brand new year. A year of new visions, a year of new friendships, a new year of old hopes. Hopes that a soul tie will die and become history so I can be. Time it will take to forget our date, the date of our union, when we walked through a field of spinning love confusion, drunk off our own pain and emotion as we brought forbidden worlds together and thought we'd never spin away from each other. But our future has been uprooted and our destinies rebooted to the tune of lies and timid alibis as to why we had to cut our spiritual soul tie. Every time I lose love, part of me dies. Like a cat that has 99 or 999 lives, will there ever be another time when I know I found the love of my life? Or have I just cut my last soul tie? I wrote this piece at the end of 2004 through to the beginning of 2005. I was going through it with my girl at the time, and I thought it was one of the most toughest times of my life. See, some of y'all are used to relationships lasting months at a time, and sometimes even years. But for me, relationships don't typically last that long, or long enough to technically become relationships. Fiascos is more like it. Flings, settling for less than what I deserve to the detriment of myself and those I love. After 31 years, I guess this is what makes me somewhat gullible to relationships that seem like they could last. They never do. Not when I think I know what I am doing. There's a bit of a pause there. Well, 4 years and several unnecessary battles later, this tie has finally been cut, and I found this piece when I wrote it like the date of. And it's crazy. I have learned so much and been through so much more since then. Jail, homelessness, fights, court. Oh my God, too much California court. Am I upset about the cut? It's devastating. It really has a profound effect on people's psyche and emotional makeup. The only way I could really describe it is it kind of felt like the hot axe of God came down between us and said, no more. Ever since I had that feeling for the first time in my life, this person and I have been at war. I think it's mostly because powerful expectations weren't fulfilled. When you believe God sent you something, you follow like a good little lamb. When codependent individuals interact with an insecure individual, the insecure person's needs are focused on more than the codependent person's needs. It's in a codependent person's nature to nurture. That's the codependency. It all makes sense, really, when you take the almighty out of it for just a second and look at it for what it is. The all too common battle between codependency and insecurity. And we wonder why 50% of marriages fail. What percentage of the American population actually gets a course on relationships, either home or school? And I don't believe insecurity makes one innocent in any way either. Insecurities inhibit the realization of God's blessings and your awareness, as well as acceptance of His guidance in your life, especially in times of covert spiritual danger. I'll be coming back to that. I am referring to doing things like second guessing his generosities, but also falling for anything with an obscure and unfamiliar sparkle just because you believe it might boost your self-esteem and confidence level half a notch. The codependent person, feeling entitled to appreciation and gratitude, may quickly judge the manifestations of these apparent insecurities as signs of evil, weakness, unreliability, and what drives some to madness, disloyalty, and/or betrayal. Whichever the delusion, it is not healthy or progressive for either party to operate in it for long periods of time, such as years, or soon perception becomes reality, and neither of you can really see the evil in it until you let each other down. Each of you gets hurt, and the blaming games begin. Fellas, don't get caught up trying to deny your spiritual soul tie. If you know in your soul you are tied to that woman, don't be embarrassed of her because she ain't rich or cute. She wasn't rich or cute when you made that second or third child with her. After I wrote this piece, I went back to my soul tie one, too many times because I thought I was supposed to, and it cost me dearly. I couldn't see someone I was more truly connected to because I thought I was bound to someone else. So the one I wasn't really connected to has become the reason I'm not with the one I really was connected to. I let almost 3 years go by before I realized it, but I am so glad I realized the first one was the wrong one. Now that the right one has been revealed, she has decided to continue other pursuits than she and I, and it hurts. But I did this to us, not her. She gave me the go-ahead. I didn't move. She said, please. I said, I can't. I said, okay. She said, it's too late. So where do I go from here? Forward. A wise man once said, I have nowhere to go but up. That's exactly how I feel too, brother. My heart is spent and my eyes are all cried out, or so it seems. Then I hear a song and it's all over. I just know I learned my lesson when it comes to soul ties, and I will be careful creating them in the future, not only for me and the other person's sakes, but also for my children and family that I have forced to suffer as they watch me go through these unnecessary and grueling situations. I know God still has a plan for me, and He won't put more on me than I can bear. Not even a seemingly indestructible soul tie. Charisma. Okay, that's the piece. What I find interesting about this piece right here, and thank you so much, dear viewer. Thank you for hanging out with me this evening. Please feel free to like, share, comment. I don't know why I don't see comments on here. I don't know if somebody's ever tried to before. But anyway, first thing, before I get into the maturation of where I am now, because this first one, if I was 31 years old when I wrote it, it will be 13 years old minimum next month when I turn 44. So I've changed a lot. And then I found it a few years later, 4 years later. I've changed since then. But there was a line here when I read this in, oh, thank you. A line here that really struck me kind of in a universal perspective because it doesn't really matter on this line when I read it or whatever. It just applies. The one I stopped at. Here we go. See if you can feel this once I find it again. It was right in front of me. Hold up, maybe it's too big. Okay, there we go. Spiritual danger. That means it's right there. Insecurities inhibit the realization of God's blessings and your awareness, as well as acceptance of His guidance in your life, especially in times of covert spiritual danger. When I read this piece that I wrote however many years ago, much of what you're seeing right now from Charisma, Corey, however you know me, yeah, it's coming at the end of a breakup. If you know me close to me, I did break up with someone relatively soon. I think the breaking up part of it had been happening over months. You know how that kind of, it's like a fragmented thing. But there was a lot of covert something. Covert spiritual danger is what I just surmised it to, just broke it down to, just kind of accepted that that's just the nature of this relationship. But the whole blocking aspect of it, inhibiting the realization of God's blessings, I didn't have to be there and I didn't have to do that long. See, when you stay in a relationship for a long period of time, that is a choice. Relationships is always a choice. And when you go into a relationship insecure, the chance of your relationship working out is basically non-existent, you know, because the realization of God's blessing, what am I talking about? I'm saying God's blessing doesn't have to be the other person. What about the blessings that you are or you have, what you bring to the table? See, if you not, insecurity will take over and reign free in your brain if you aren't aware of what you bring to the table. Or if you let somebody twist you, gaslight you out of understanding, knowing, respecting your own power. It's so insidious, and when you realize it, it's frustrating. And when someone does it under the guise of love, it's even more painful because you just don't see it coming. You don't expect that. Not if you still hold out hope for love, like I did. Okay, a realization of God's blessings, your awareness, as well as acceptance of His guidance in your life, especially now. Acceptance of His guidance. So, in my maturation process, God is not this anthropomorphic being. I learned that word more so from Reverend Lee. Thank you, Reverend Lee, for teaching me that word. That you pray to, a being out there. Now my understanding is God is inside. So the guidance that we need is within us, but we have to go into meditation. We have to give God that time to speak to us, especially in the world we live in. It's not like when indigenous peoples were here that had wind as entertainment, a thunderstorm as a movie, for instance. That was what they were entertained by. Now we have endless distraction, entertainment, and things that distract us or make us minimize our own power and that inner guidance. You know, um, inner guidance for me was a big deal because Jehovah's Witnesses just don't believe in that. They don't, to guard your heart. Yeah, whatever. Guard your heart means don't do anything the Watchtower told you not to do. Because if you do and we hear about it, we're going to punish you. That's guilt tripping, basically. And I can tell from my writing from that long ago that that cult still had influence and impact, right? Not nearly as much now. But even as I think about just relationships, period, forget that. Yes, you can have a soul tie with someone. I still believe that. But I think the insecurities and things that I'm talking about in this older piece, if you look at the postings I've been making on my page, me and Michael Baisden today had a very brief interaction about some of the things that he's been posting. Anybody can be insecure, male or female, but you have to deal with those before you go into a relationship, right? And beyond that, a lot of the conversation now, with the Kevin Samuels videos and things like that, the reason I am focusing on those things so much now is because I see the truth in what he's saying, and I've also experienced living otherwise, living beneath my power, dating women I didn't really want to date, being in relationships and interactions that didn't really fulfill me. And I learned from that, and I don't believe I'll ever do that again. I can honestly say I'll never do that again. It requires patience. It requires sacrifice. It requires being odd. It requires being by yourself. But it's all worth it to work on yourself. It's all worth it to have that space and that time period where you get back to loving you, knowing what you want, knowing what you need, knowing what you bring to the table. Now, needs. Men and women need different things, but we shouldn't need each other. You know, When I hear a woman say something like, secure a man, in my mind, I'm thinking about secure the bag. So basically telling me I'm the bag. We can't be the bag to y'all that you grease and soak with a little bit of, a little love juice and, everything is therefore sugar coated, no matter what you do and say, et cetera, et cetera. There's accountability on both sides. There's things that I do. I have to be accountable to myself. You got to be accountable to yourself. And we need to all live in reality, because the way I was operating back then, I was more of a mindset that I was going to be a man that women really liked. But if I focus on being, most importantly, the man I want to be and associated with men like that, especially in my younger, more formative years, I wouldn't have done a lot of stuff that I did in life. I just wouldn't, because the influence of men on men when it's just men is how you surviving, how you doing, how you getting by, how much money you making. You know, we tend to always kind of be like that on each other, but we are trained to provide before we even go into a relationship. But I'm not gonna go into a relationship where I already know I'm gonna provide, and you know, this other person is just basically looking for a meal ticket or looking at me like prey. What do you mean secure a man? You know, that's what we don't want to hear. When Michael Bazin asked that question today about cool, a cool woman ain't trying to secure a man. She ain't sitting up thinking about how she can get somebody and snag them. See, y'all have to really rethink how you approach us, because if you talk to us and listen to us, we don't say the stuff that y'all say to each other we want. We just don't. We don't care about weddings. We don't care about your dress. We don't care about your shoes. We don't care about your veil. We don't care about, we damn near don't care about the house we'll live in. As long as it's got a man cave, as long as it's got a garage, as long as it's got a backyard, where can I tie my pit bull? Where can I keep my motorcycle? Where can I put my hot rod I'm working on? See, I had the other post too about women say, I just want all of your heart. You can want all of my heart, but you need to know what is naturally there already, because I see a lot of women disrespect what they hear. I say it's disrespect because when you know and but you choose to ignore, it's disrespect. Just like when the girl called in, he had a topic, Kevin Samuels had a topic, and she was going to change it. Don't disrespect the program that I have. Now, let's say he didn't change course with her. The now illusion she has is that it's her show. It's her wedding. It's her life. See, what he did was powerful training for everybody, male and female, because we need to stay on our shit. And y'all need to stay on y'all's. But don't bring the insecurity to us because you're made to be dependent on us for provision and use that as a way of getting us. You know what I'm saying? Like, what self-respecting man wants to be the quarry of someone weaker than him physically? We don't think that way. Look at animals out in the field. Look at lions. Look at any animals out there. We are here to fight. We are here literally fighting each other already, because it's in our nature to climb that hereditary ladder, because we're fighting for survival. We're fighting to procreate. See, the things that are in the back of your mind, the nurturing and stuff, just aren't there with us. So when we talk about getting married and stuff, we're not really talking about what we want. We're talking about what you want, because that's what it takes for us to have you. You know, we can be with you without marrying you. We can be faithful and loyal to you without the government being involved. Because if we are around you for any significant period of time, or we call you cool, you may have us as much as you need to have us to have us. You may over have us by making us marrying you. I mean, the pressure's great. You're locking down a creature that is going to definitely want, if not want, at least move around. It's like if you sit down and okay, if I build the table and I go and make the plate and I go and forage the silverware, and I bring all that down and I put it on the table, and all you bring to the table literally is a meal. You put some meat and potatoes. You cooked it. You cooked it. You know. Now, truth be told, I did give you the meat. I gave you the sauce. I gave you the pot and pan. But hey, you did the work. You cooked it. Okay. Now, I'm eating the same thing every day. Whatever I give you to prepare for me. Okay? I'm not unaccustomed to my nature, which is building tables, providing tables, and eating off different plates. Now, I love what you cook. Them collard greens and man, them brown beans and man, that pot roast is so good. And it's the meal. I left out shrimp. It's the meal I want. But I also like to have now and then have a corn dog. But I just want to have a corn dog. I don't want to marry the corn dog. You can't help the attraction your man has to other women. Every woman in the world doesn't want to know what her man is thinking because y'all already know we look at other women. You already know we do. We're made to. Which means you need to stay on top of your shit on the looking good part. I mean, damn. If your body is already fucked off or something, and your body is not in shape, and you hard pressed to even look good when you go to fucking Walmart. I mean, he might be faithful to you, but it's gonna be a grumpy faithful. You want a man that's grumpy faithful? That's what y'all got. That's what you got now. This is not me speaking out of like anger for anything like that for what I've gone through. You get these men and you tie them down, and the more years you're with them, the bigger their belly gets, the less attractive he gets. He's still providing, but he don't look as good as that dude at work no more, does he? That about 5 or 10 year younger man, still single, still running the streets, coming to work smelling good. Then you go home and your man, fat ass, you know, whatever. You're not attracted. You know you're gonna have to give him something tonight. You ain't happy with that. He ain't happy looking at you because you look better at work than when you come home to him. So now he's looking at you like, I don't even like looking at you. Now your meat and potatoes don't even look that good. You know, you got to keep them meat and potatoes hot and steamy, baby. You know, please. You know what I'm saying? That shouldn't even come without saying because on some level, attraction is what started the whole thing, right? But the attraction is too more important to us than you for you to neglect that shit and let it go. You know, um, and this goes for beautiful women too. Y'all gotta stop taking for granted y'all beautiful. Yeah, you might wake up a strong 6.5 or something. Go and put some little moisturizer on. Wash your face. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about the ones that don't do anything. You know, because they feel like they're not far enough on the scale to do anything. It is a scale, but um, the basics is man. The basics. It's kind of like Dion Cole said on Cold Hearted. We like the done up, and I'll give you a compliment. But what's sexy? Sweatpants, tie your hair back, looking natural. Okay, I'll give you a case in point. Talking to a buddy of mine the other night. If all of a sudden tomorrow, every woman in the world was wearing the clothes y'all were wearing in the 17th or 18th century, but we looked the same and we had the same jobs, nothing would be different. What would be different? Do you think it would matter if you made $1 billion a year? We wouldn't care. We couldn't even see your body up under there. But if we know you got one, you chances are we're gonna want to talk to you at least. You got everybody, if every woman in the world wore the exact same outfit every freaking day, the chance of y'all getting a man, a meal ticket, securing us, or whatever, it wouldn't change. Because that's how we're made. See, when you understand how we're made, it really simplifies things for you. It doesn't complicate it. Y'all make things too complicated. 10 ways to keep your man. 10 ways to satisfy your man in bed. Why y'all still reading books like that? Do you talk to your man? Or have you told your man how it's going to be and we made these vows and that's it? See, your man feels trapped. Your man feels trapped. And that man knows that if he get caught with that corn dog, it might be a Twizzler, but hey, he like that Twizzler, and that's his business. But he know if he get caught with that Twizzler in his mouth or a little bit of, in his teeth, the table he built is gone or cut in half. The plate he made, gone, cut in half. The beaten potatoes on somebody else's table now, or basically already been gone because, let's be honest, women emotionally check out and cheat very early in the relationship anyway. So we know these things now. So when we talk about insecurity inhibits the realization of God's blessing and your awareness, I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up because it's late, man. Thank you again. Tammy, thank you so much, Ms. Henderson. I appreciate it. Don't go not using the awareness, man. This is a great time to be working on yourself. The more you learn, especially about yourself, when you operate in that awareness, then you kind of take control of your reality in terms of manifestation. That's a whole other video I need to make for brothers out here that just don't get it. If you single or you have a girlfriend and you and that girl not really working out and she's basically running the relationship, because a lot of women are running their relationship. I'm not telling you to get out of it, but I'm saying if you work on yourself and things eventually go that way, don't feel bad, brother. Because they say it's more of them than us anyway. There is no reason to rush sex. There's no reason to rush marriage. There's no reason to rush having a baby. There's no reason to rush anything but getting on your shit, man. There can be no time wasted now in learning some trade, being involved in some vocation. I don't give a damn if it's a fucking non-profit. Hell, look at that fucking boy on The Bachelor. I call him a fucking boy. What's his name? Matt James or whatever. I think he's the same age I was when I moved to California, 28, 29, 29. It could be a non-profit, man. It don't matter. But be about your passion. Don't just pick something. Be about your passion. Women are attracted to successful men that are on their shit. And you get off your shit, like I have so many times. I'll even make a video about it. I'll talk about myself. Man, when we get off our shit and get on theirs, it's just a matter of time. It's a ticking time bomb. You become what they didn't want. You become the dude that they wouldn't have picked in the club that night. But they picked you because you were on your shit. So if you're newly single like me, let's get on our shit, man. Let's be kings. Let's be alphas out here. Let's run ourselves so that we are the gods that we are supposed to be, And I definitely totally believe and know and trust that our women ain't going nowhere, especially our black women. They love us to death. They love us to death. Black women love their black men. I love y'all too. And we're definitely going to figure this thing out. And we're going to start out by being real. Appreciate you. Hope you enjoy Soul Ties. And I'll talk to you again soon. Take care.